Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. This is your brother Ayathun from Great Millstone, aka GMS. And this is yet another lesson and another cut to the house of unconsciousness niggas. And I may do another video, extra parts of this, because I've done 2 1-hour recordings of this lesson, and my computer crashed both times. My computer doesn't crash, so bro Polight, I guess the Egyptian gods are with you real heavy, but it's not going to stop the word. Your Egyptian gods couldn't stop the Most High in ancient Egypt, and is not going to stop the Most High now. So this word is still going to go out. Stepping to GMS is the worst thing you could have did. All right, this is seriously going to cripple your career, your money-making scam, which you call the house of unconsciousness, that's what I call it, and your new covenant bullshit. I mean, there's people posting videos all over YouTube about how you scamming them out of money, how you're phony, how you're fake. And the main people doing it is your gods, the women. It's mainly women putting up videos on YouTube that you're full of shit. And here's another one by GMS proving that you're full of shit. Now, as you see on the screen here, I have a website, and the caption here is, it says, the United States and Egypt as soulmates. And this backs up exactly what the scriptures has written in the book of Revelations, which says that America is nothing but spiritual Egypt and Sodom. That's why America follows all the rituals and customs of Egypt, such as Christmas, such as Halloween, such as Easter. And this is all pushed forth through the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church is nothing but a new fancy word for Egyptology. That's all it is. So let's go through this lesson, and I'm going to move fast. I may do another one, like I said, because I'm not going to bring out, I can't bring out as much detail as I want to for this one, because I'm trying to keep this short so my PC doesn't crash on me again. So let's go. The first thing I want to do, as always, is I want to start off with a scripture. So let's go to Isaiah 19 and read this. Isaiah 19:14. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Now, excuse me, keep in mind the word perverse, because perverse describes the acts and the practices of Egypt, which we're going to cover, and the practices of America, modern day Egypt, which we're about to cover in this lesson. Now, if we go to the Apocrypha, Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter, it says, for thine incorruptible spirit is in all things. Therefore chasteneth thou them little that offend, and warnest them that putteth them in remembrance wherein they have offended, that leaving their wickedness they may believe on thee, O Lord. This is talking about the Israelites. Verse 3, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land. The holy land that it's talking about, and the old inhabitants is talking about the Canaanites in the land of Canaan, before the Lord commanded us to go in there and to destroy them. Now I have here a map of the land of Canaan, and these are the different peoples that live there. Okay, you had the Hivites, you got the Canaanites, you got the Philistines, you got the Hivites again over here. Okay, these are all Hamitic nations. Now, the Hamites consist of who? The Babylonians, the Egyptians, and the Canaanites. Now, they all worship the same gods. They may have changed the names a little bit, but they're all the same gods. I'll give you an example. The god Molech. The god Molech is the Egyptian god Set. Okay, follow me over here for a moment. Okay, here we have on this website, it says Molech was a Canaanite version of the Egyptian god Set. The god Set was a homosexual god of evil. He was worshipped during ceremonies that involved human sacrifice, cannibalism, and homosexual orgies. Now it says right here, he was worshipped during ceremonies that involved human sacrifice. Now, for some reason, it's so hard for this phony bro Polight to get his head wrapped around that Israel ate their children because it was a curse from the Lord. The Lord put a curse of famine on them. Now, when you're in a state of famine, the scriptures even say that it is better to die by the sword than to die by the famine. When you're in a state of famine, number one, your body starts eating itself inside out. And number two, you start losing your mind. You literally turn into a zombie. And you're looking for any source of nutrition, any food, anything that you see that's moving, breathing, starts looking like chicken to you. So yeah, the Israelites ate their own children out of necessity, out of the will to survive, out of going crazy out of their minds. And the reason why the Lord did this to them is because they were practicing human sacrifice, following the traditions of the Egyptians. Israelites also fell to that idol worshiping, and they were also passing their children through the fire and worshiping Molech, the Egyptian god. But this all came from Egypt. Egypt was eating their own children. The Egyptians ate their own children out of as a ritual sacrifice. That was a religious ceremony, and it was a pastime for them. They did that shit as a hobby. It was a tasty snack for them. Now, when it happened to the Israelites, it was done out of the necessity, out of a will to live. So what kind of God, Polight, you ask what kind of God would do that to their people? What kind of God would ask you to sacrifice your own children and to devour your own children to please them? That's my question to you. Let's read on, because we don't have a lot of time here. It says, cannibalism and homosexual orgies. As the god of destruction, he became the god of the Egyptian military. In ancient Rome, he was worshipped as the god Saturn by the Roman military, often with baptism by blood. All right? So that's that on that. Now let's jump here, and this is a website, crack.com. And it says here, 6 depraved sexual fetishes that are older than you think. Now we're going to jump here to necrophilia, which is number 3, 5th century. I'm going to jump to the points. It says, there's no polite way to put this. Necrophilia is the fucking of dead bodies. Although considering the recent popularity of vampire romance, having sex with a pale, lifeless meatwad is apparently mainstream now. It says psychologists have theorized that there are a number of reasons why someone would be attracted to corpses, chief among them being the desire for a lifeless and unresisting partner. Excuse me. But apparently the whole craze started the same way so many things start, with mummies. Mummies go back to who? The Egyptians. It says Herodotus, which was a Greek historian, the Greek historian who lived in 5th century, wrote in his histories. Now, his histories refers to the histories, which was a book written by Herodotus, the Greek historian, of accounts that he witnessed. It says, in order to stop people from having sex with corpses before mummifications, the ancient Egyptians left them to decay for 3 or 4 days before handing them off to the embalmers. That's right. Necrophilia was such a problem for these guys that they had to take active preventative measures against it. Excuse me. Because the Egyptians were heavy into necrophilia, having sex with dead corpses. Because what? They believed that Pharaoh was a son of Ra, or the son of God. And you had the royal women of Egyptian royalty. And when they were buried, the Egyptians would have sex with them because they believed they were having sex with God. So, bro, Polight, excuse me, according to your philosophy and your beliefs and your Egyptology, it's not cool to have sex with a woman when she has her menstrual cycle. According to you, that's not cool. But according to your gods that you worship, that you have up in your own house, it's cool to fuck a dead body, to fuck a corpse. That's cool with you. Let's move on. Next thing I have here is an excerpt from a book which is titled Bestiality and Zoophilia, Sexual Relations with Animals. It says edited by Anthony L. Podbersek and Andrea M. Beats. Okay. Let me just jump to the point. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Matter of fact, let me just read this. I'm going to read it quickly. It says, ancient Near East. Archaeological findings demonstrate that bestiality was practiced in Babylonia, the ancient empire in Mesopotamia, which prospered in the 3rd millennium BC. In his famous Code of Hammurabi, King Hammurabi proclaimed death for any persons engaging in bestiality. At other times, according to Wayne, during the spring fertility rites of Babylon, dogs and other animals were used for maintaining a constant orgy condition for 7 days and nights. The Hittites, the predecessors of the Hebrews in the Holy Land, had certain rules about which animals were tolerable to have sex with and which were forbidden and punishable by death. Like that made it any better. According to the Most High, there was no animal. You can't have sex with any animals, period. That was all abominations to the Lord. It says the book of Leviticus states that bestiality was very widespread in the country of Canaan. The Hebrews took issue with all the previous inhabitants of the Holy Land and their customs. Even depicting God with an animal's head or an animal's body was an abomination. The Hebrews considered sexual relations with animals a form of worshiping other gods, as was homosexuality, and the bestialist and the animal were both put to death, which was according to Leviticus, where the Lord commanded that if a man or a woman have sex with a beast, both the woman, the man, or the man and the beast be put to death. But according to Egyptology, it's cool to have sex with an animal. Let's read on. The purpose of these taboos was to help maintain and reinforce the boundaries of the group and enable it to retain its distinctive identities under adverse circumstances. Let's jump down to ancient Egypt. It says the ancient Egyptians worshipped gods with animal shapes almost exclusively in the pre-dynastic period before about 3000 BC. That's why you see most of Egyptian idols being half man and half woman, including Isis. Isis, in some pictures, you see her depicted with wings, stretched out with wings. All right, and Isis is the idol that Bro Polight has right up in his household. It says animal-human sexual contacts are occasionally portrayed on the tombs, and bestiality was recorded in Egyptian hieroglyphics as far back as 3000 BC. Several kings and queens had a reputation of engaging in bestiality. Most famous was Cleopatra, who was said to have had a box filled with bees, which she had placed against her genitals for stimulation, similar to a vibrator. Now we know where the vibrator came from, the idea and the invention of vibrator. And you know where the dildo came from, because the biggest dildo, which is exists where is the Washington Monument, and then you have another one, another dildo, which is in Central Park, which is also known as none other than Cleopatra's Needle. Okay, and Cleopatra happened to be an Edomite on her father's side, but an Egyptian on the mother's side. It says here, Egyptian men often had sexual intercourse with cattle or any large domesticated animal, while the women resorted to dogs. Sexual contacts with apes, the dogs weren't enough, they had to step it up. Sexual contacts with apes were further reported for both men and women. And most interestingly, the Egyptians are reported to have mastered the art of sexual congress with the crocodile. This was accomplished by turning the creature onto its back, rendering it incapable of resisting penetration. This form of copulation was believed to bring prosperity and restore the potency of men. The Egyptians were also known to engage in worshipful bestiality with the Apis bull in Memphis, Egypt. Some sick shit. Now from here, I want to jump to, excuse me, let's see what I have here. Here's a YouTube video which you brothers could Google, or punch up. This is Comedic How to Guide Ancient Egypt and Homosexuality. And she breaks down the homosexual practice in ancient Egypt. Okay? And you have one here, a story, which is called Egyptian Third Gender. And this goes into the worship of homosexuality in Egypt. And basically all the Egyptian gods, especially this revolves around Isis, which once again, bro Polight, you have this goddess in your house. This deals with Isis and her son Horus. And Horus, you also worship Horus, bro Polight, because in your speakings, you wear the eye of Horus on your person. On your left eye, you draw the actual eye of Horus. All right? You're a goddamn idiot. I mean, that's the bottom line, man. Now, let me read down a little bit of this. It says, the stories told about the archetypal beings support an understanding of Seth and Nephthils as third gender beings, which are homosexuals. Now, let me jump down. Okay, it says here, Isis then bears a son Horus, and Osiris goes to rule in the afterlife. Next, Seth turns his attention to Horus, his brother, attempting to discredit him as a male by having sex with him. On his mother's advice, which is Isis, Horus, her son, catches Seth's ejaculate in his hand. He then brings a semen to Isis, who sprinkles it on Seth's favorite food, lettuce, which Seth eats. Seth, thinking his semen is in Horus, although he has actually eaten it himself as salad dressing, appears with Horus before the judges. And I'm not even going to read the rest of this bullshit. But here's the point. For Bro Polight, Sonetta, the whole house of unconsciousness, it's hard for them to get their head wrapped around because it's such a ridiculous story that a large fish or creature in the ocean could swallow a man. That's a complete unbelievable story to them. But this bullshit right here is completely creditable according to Bro Polight and his house of unconscious niggas. See, showing you how much bullshit this nigga is full of and how much bullshit he teaches. Okay? And when you read up their story of Genesis, I'll just read it real quick. In the Egyptian story of the creation, the archetypal beings, which these are the gods, the pharaohs, the first being is male and female. Okay? Meaning, this is oh man, I'm sorry, the thoughts, it's escaping my mind. The god today that Esau worships. If it continues to slip my mind, I'll put it in the post production. But this is a god that Esau worships today, which is the half male Baphomet. Okay, the first being is male and female, which is today called Baphomet, and its name is Adam or Adam. Okay, wonder where they got that from. Through asexual reproduction, Adam divides and creates two other beings, Shu and Tefnut. These two in turn produce another pair, Geb and Nut. Finally, Geb and Nut, the earth and sky, combine and produce two pairs of Isis and Osiris. So this story is completely credible. This is a believable story, but it's so the story of Leviathan, or a big fish swallowing a human, which there is a fish today that can do that. It's called a sperm whale that can swallow a human. That story is completely unbelievable according to you, and it's completely ridiculous. But this bullshit right here, you subscribe to. All right? Anyway, let's move on. Okay? I have here the etymology of the word science, which the word science, according to etymology, comes from the French, right here, comes from the Old French, which means knowledge. It comes from the Latin scientia, which means knowledge. Now, there's a guy, his name is Stephen J. Good, and he wrote a book, Introduction to the Mismeasure of Man, published in 1981, and this is what he said. Science, as most people must do it, is a sociable, embedded activity. It progresses by hunch, vision, and intuition, showing you that science is bullshit. Most of it. Esau science is bullshit. All right, the science of our science, which the word science, meaning knowledge, comes from the Bible. Okay? It says, much of its change through time does not record a closer approach to absolute truth, but the alteration of cultural context that influences so strongly. So in other words, it's saying that science, as we know it today, Esau's science, is not according to truth. It changes through time according to culture. So basically, it's bullshit. Now, what does the scripture say? The scriptures say, I am the Lord thy God, I change not. Because there's a motto out there, and the motto goes like this: the truth remains the same. 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4. 1 plus 1 is always going to equal 2. That is truth. And there's no consequence that the word truth comes from the word amath in the Bible, whereas where math comes from, because math is always true. But Esau's science and Egyptology is bullshit, and it changes throughout time. That's why these different gods, they change their names, they change their appearance as time goes on. Reading on, it says, facts are not pure and unsullied bits of information. Right, like bro Polight, the shit you teach are bits of information that you got a little bit here, a little from there, from Esau's books, from Esau's documents. Okay? It says culture also influences what we see and how we see it. That's why you have such a problem getting your head wrapped around the issue of a man having sex with a young woman who has reached puberty, because your thoughts and your ideology is influenced by culture, not by truth. Okay? It says theories, moreover, are not inexorable inductions from facts. This goes into hypotheses. The most creative theories are often imaginative visions imposed upon facts. The source of imagination is also strongly cultural. Okay? So basically, dude, your whole house of unconsciousness, all its teachings, everything, all the knowledge that you so-called spit, it's all imaginative visions. All right? Imaginations. Now, I want you brothers out there to read the book of Leviticus, the 18th chapter. This whole book goes into everything that the Lord warned us not to do after the manner of Egypt. Going into necrophilia, incest, okay? And that's another thing I didn't even bring out. You had this guy, the most famous pharaoh of all, which is King Tut. Okay, King Tut. Let me see if I have it here. Actually, I don't have it up here. But you brothers could do the research yourself. King Tut was actually deformed. He had a disfigured face, and he walked with a cane, and he had a club foot. The reason being because both his mother and his father were also brothers and sisters. Ancestry was a big thing in Egypt, especially among royal families. All right? So King Tut came out fucked up looking because he was a product of incest. And this is another thing that the Lord warned us not to do. But read Leviticus 18, all right? And with that, I mean, I'm going to say shalom. If you niggas from the House of Consciousness, there might be some dudes that follow you guys, follow your videos, that will get, the Lord will put onto GMS and will wake them up. And a lot of you are just going to die in nuclear fire, including Bro Polight if you don't get his shit together. All right? Because GMS, we're all about truth and bringing out the truth and about bringing out true information. And you niggas, what you're all about, and the reason why you worship Egypt so much is because you're all about
Queen, get the money, dollar bill, yo.